Hey everyone, welcome to this short live stream on what it takes to pass the AWS Data Professionals exam. My name is Craig Colangelo. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect at PMsquare. Recently, I had a couple of my colleagues spend some time achieving the AWS Data Professional certification, and we all thought it might be useful to give you some exam hacks. So if you're here because you're a data practitioner looking to embark on the same sort of certification process, we plan to discuss some of the prep, the logistics, the tricks of this certification exam to better enable your success. If you're a client or a prospective client, we want you to know that we do this stuff all the time in order to keep up with current tech and achieve higher levels of partnership with the various analytics and cloud vendors that we work with. So we have a full-on cloud practice and many certifications and real-world experience across all major cloud providers, even some of the minor ones. You can check us out for all of our cloud offerings at PMsquare.com under the services menu. Just look for cloud. So joining me today are my colleagues Chris Chapman and Andreea Stanovici. They both recently passed the AWS Data Professional exam and wanted to share their experience. So Andreea and Chris, would you please say hi and tell us a little bit about your experience in the cloud and data spaces? Maybe Andreea, you can go first.
Sure. So I've been in the cloud space for about 4 years now. Come from a little bit more of a DevOps background, but at PMsquare definitely dove a lot more into the analytics space. Played a pretty big role in a couple of different ETL pipelines. So that's been the primary focus of mine.
Nice. Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of working with Andreea on some cloud analytics and DevOps stuff here at PMsquare. She's an awesome professional. And speaking of DevOps, we actually now have, with our acquisition of QLI, we also expanded, our full-on cloud team, right, to include full-on DevOps sort of resources, right?
Indeed, we have. Yep.
Awesome. Chris, how about you? How you doing?
Sure. Doing good. Chris Chapman. So I have been with PMsquare for 8 years, almost 8 years. A lot of background in Cognos in the IBM space, but the last number of years have been focused in the cloud space, helping clients move Cognos and BI workloads to the cloud, as well as ETL pipelines, data warehouses. So all things data centric, and just also helping them think through that initial migration. Laying the groundwork for landing space and building out the groundwork for migrating their whole infrastructure to the cloud.
Yeah, sounds like a heady work. So thanks a bunch, guys. I'm glad to have you both here. Let's get into the certification. So which certification and exam exactly are we talking about? Is there like an exam number or a certification path or name? What exactly are we talking about?
The official exam is called the AWS Certified Data Analytics Specialty. And I think the little code for it is DASC01 to be exact.
Gotcha. Is this the first AWS certification that you guys have gone after?
Nope. So number 3 for me, I think probably same for Andreea. Did the cloud practitioner first. That's where everyone starts. Had the associate architect as well, and then just recently had the specialty cert.
Gotcha. Yeah. In terms of progression, that makes sense. Andreea, why did you want to achieve this certification in particular?
Are you kidding? I think it's an awesome validation of your expertise in designing, building, securing, and maintaining analytic solutions. There's a lot to learn, and that was just an awesome opportunity.
Awesome. Probably same for you, Chris?
Yeah. I mentioned, what do we do? And obviously PMsquare's focus is on analytics specifically. And we're seeing more and more clients moving those workloads to the cloud specifically. So this just helps look at the full array of options that clients would have for moving those workloads. So we help contextualize it better. I think right after, I passed it, went into with a client, and immediately a use case popped up. Like, that's, there was like basically an exam question. It would have been. So yeah, just always trying to stay relevant with it.
Yeah. chicken or the egg there.
Mhm.
So, I mean, obviously we're AWS partners, right? So we probably get these sorts of certifications and exams for free. But I don't know. Do you guys know if there's a cost for like a normal consumer, someone who isn't a partner, to take this this exam or this cert?
No, we still have to pay.
Oh, do we really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
come on, Jeff
Uh,
Bezos.
Barry, do you remember I think
So the
this one was
cost
more expensive. Yeah.
is 300, but if you hold a previous certification, I think you get half off. And so
Oh.
if you do have an associate level cert, then one of the professional or the specialty levels are the prices knocked in half.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. Awesome. Okay, I just assumed it was free. I guess not. So tell me about the certification criteria. Is it just passing this particular exam, or is there more to it than that? Like, do you have to have a project that you submit to, like I don't know, a AWS cloud resource that goes no goes it sort of a thing? Is it just this exam, or is there more to it than that?
It's just the exam. Simple pass fail. You need 75% to pass.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what they suggest for prerequisites?
Yes. So they recommend at least 5 years of experience just in the analytics space in general, and then at least 2 years of hands-on experience with AWS specifically, and then experience doing the hands keyboard work of building out solutions on the AWS platform.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that probably wasn't a problem for either of you.
No.
So let's talk about the semantics of the exam. How many questions are there?
There are 65 questions. 90% of them are about 2 paragraphs long, so they're pretty chunky, a lot going on. And it's a split between multiple choice and multiple response. You do have 3 hours, and it is proctored.
Now, do you have to actually go into a facility, or can you do it at home?
It's through Pearson. So I think what they do is they offer either one you feel more comfortable with. So you can do it at home and you're on the webcam recorded throughout, or they do hold in-person proctored opportunities.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. And I know they're all over the place. I've done a few certifications with them, and even in the tiny little hamlet that I live in, there's a spot right here. So you mentioned, I think you said 90 minutes. Is that right, for the time limit? Or 90 questions? What kind of time limit did you say?
3 hours.
Gotcha. 3 hours. Sounds reasonable, but I know how abstract some of these certification exams can be. So, are there sections to it? Tell me a little bit about like what sort of topics were covered.
Sure. So they, and when you can go to AWS training, throw that out there, list out places where you can get certified and also help you with exam prep. For this exam, they do break it out into what they call 5 domains, one around collection, storage and data management, processing, analysis and visualization, and security. They're all about a fifth of the exam questions that you can expect to see.
Okay. What sort of tools in the AWS stack are touched on in this particular certification exam?
I think there was quite a variety. There was a good amount of Kinesis, EMR, QuickSight, Athena, MSK, Glue, OpenSearch, Lake Formation, you name it.
MSK, I don't know that one. What is MSK?
It's managed Apache Kafka.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I mean that's pretty broad. Yeah, so I'd imagine you do have to have some chops in the full stack in order to be able to make that work. Tell me more, Chris. You mentioned that there were. Let's talk about the prep, right? So, did you find any great prep sites in retrospect that really helped you? You mentioned that there were AWS sites that kind of helped you out. Tell us more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So AWS has a number of, and if you're a partner, you can get access to. They have partner training, a number of on-demand videos that you can get access to. Those are really good, especially if you want to get intro to any of the services that are outlined in any of those domains. We also, I think we both used a Udemy course for the data analytics, specifically. That was very helpful. So it goes through the domains, it goes through all the services. It goes into some detail on what the exam will ask you about. Needing to know down to the detail things like the load that Kinesis requests can handle versus MSK. Those are different. That little tricky things that they try to throw at you. So it goes into that. It also has a practice exam that I thought was probably some of the most useful.
Oh, nice.
Because you would go through it and then it would give you the answer, but to give you the reason for the answer. And just going through that and reading those helped, I thought, to prep for the questions and eliminate, go to be able to read the question, say, okay, it's not these two. And then even if you're not sure, easily try to work, not easy, but try to work backward and see how they try to structure the question. So I found that to be really useful too.
Yeah, that sounds useful. I mean, so many times on practice exams, it's like you either hit it or you don't, and they don't tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds really, really valuable. Andreea, did you find anything, I mean, other than what Chris just mentioned, did you find anything else that kind of helped you prep?
Oh, I had a full structure, a whole program ready.
It doesn't sound like you. That's weird.
So one tool Chris mentioned on was Udemy. One thing that I love the most about it were they had labs. And so it's one thing to just read through a ton of documentation and just digest a lot of content. And you learn it completely different when you're able to interact with that environment, and you just get a lot more hands to keyboard time. So that's one thing I really appreciated about that particular tool. He also mentioned the AWS Skill Builder. I think that one is actually free. That one's not through the APN, the partner website. So that's open to the public as well, which also had a lot of good content. One other absolute necessity is to go through the FAQs, so frequently asked questions. That really had all the tiny, minute details that you need to be able to differentiate between two different options on the exam. So that was key as well. AWS also has some really good white papers out there that look more at a big picture, such as the EMR migration guide, big data options. So they have quite a few out there that I think also help bring all of those different pieces together, so you get a better, well-rounded understanding of the different services and how they can integrate while still touching on quite a few technical aspects as opposed to just a 10,000-foot view. Another website that I did find very helpful was Dojo Tutorials, and that's because they had a lot of questions that I found very similar to the actual exam. They were pretty complex, they were lengthy, and that was very helpful because I think one thing I mentioned earlier was that a lot of the questions were pretty lengthy, so it was a lot. You really need to be prepared for it mentally to digest and understand what's happening within just one question alone, and then carry on with that same stamina throughout all 65 questions. So I think also getting used to the long paragraph structure was a very big help.
Sure. Wow, that's great. That's cool that AWS does so much to kind of enable success in this space. Not all vendors do. And yeah, I mean, there are so many great, free training spots and spaces out there. I mean, Coursera and Udemy, and that's fantastic. That's great. I'm just curious. I know how often you guys get pinged and pulled into things when you're in the office. Did you do it at home? Did you go into a location, or did you do it at the office?
Yes. Just try to find time, wherever I could. In between meetings, in the office, during free time. White papers make good pre-bedtime reading. Easy to go to sleep after that. So yeah, just try to find a little time to do it. Like I said, I mean, so we went through that. It's a lot. It's a lot to ingest, especially when you get into like EMR and the intricacies of that. So it just takes time to really, digest it all and pull it all in. So yeah, just trying to find those little moments to do it.
Yeah, gotcha. So I mean, in retrospect, and relatively speaking, how tough do you think it was?
I think it was pretty challenging because even if you work in the data analytics space, again, there are just so many minute details and limitations of each service integrated with different services. And then because you also touch on security, you just have so many different ways you can look at the same problem. So it really requires a lot of detail and a lot of knowledge to really be able to answer a lot of those questions. So I do think that even if you've interacted with a variety of those tools, it's very different to have the much more complex situations with a variety of requirements to then determine what's the best path forward or what are different options. I think it did a great job of including everything. And like I said, it was very well-rounded. So you really need to know your material.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, that's true. And this one, especially from the other ones, when you get into especially in the pro level, the questions, Andreea said, you really need to know it because they will intentionally they'll try to trick you. But yeah, you'll have maybe 3 answers that technically can do the job, but there's one that's slightly better. And being able to decipher that and weed that out is for these at this level is really where you need to do it.
Yeah, I get that. So Chris, you mentioned that right after this exam, you kind of found something that actually helped you in the real world. It was kind of like a very applicable use case, right? So, I mean, it sounds like this is not just a checkbox. It sounds like this is something that does actually enable you to kind of be a better practitioner in this space. Does that sound right?
I definitely, yeah, absolutely. Just knowing, I always tell clients, AWS is a big toolbox. There's a bunch of wrenches and hammers in there. You need to know the right one. And so knowing all the different tools at disposal to help, to process and store and catalog and do everything with data that you would need to, this helps making those conversations with clients easier, be more knowledgeable, but also just help them, get the right solution for whatever the use case is.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So what certification in the AWS space do you kind of plan to go after next, if any?
I think AWS has a lot out there. There's a lot of content. They have a ton of different exams. So I have not planned my next one yet. But all of them do sound pretty intriguing and require a brand new set of material as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I know that, obviously you two just attained this certification, but we do have a whole cloud practice. Do either of you happen to know, what sort of certifications or how many we have across the different cloud vendors?
Not off the top of my head. I know do at least have one in GCP. I think some in Azure, but yeah, I think we've got probably a little everywhere.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what sort of tech at AWS in the AWS stack kind of intrigues you the most at the moment.
So, coming focused on analytics space and coming out of this, some of the ones that came to mind, Kinesis, Craig, I know, background with Cognos, everyone wants, the goal would be real-time data. It'd be great to just see everything refreshing in real time, getting dashboards refreshed in real time. That's what Kinesis finally enables you to do. So, that is really compelling and I think really useful for a lot of use cases where businesses are needing to get real-time information on where their customers are, what they're doing, what they're experiencing, be able to react to it in real time. Another one, and I know we've used this a lot already, but Glue, we were pretty early adopters of Glue, and it's really come a long way since that time. I would say it's much more mature now. Very full featured. We use it extensively here at PMsquare for certain workloads, and it's great, and really helps to be a foundational layer with the data catalog. A lot of the talk these days is around federating security, federating access to data, having that centralized control plane, and not having to move data, keeping data at rest while being able to access it. And that's one of the things that Glue enables, and it's really grown into this space, which has been interesting. But it's able to fill that. So I think, yeah, those are a couple of my big ones.
I think
Gotcha.
one thing that I really appreciate about AWS is that they're constantly adding new features, services, whatever it may be. They're just continuous advancements. So for me, it's harder to pinpoint super particular tech, for example, because I'm really intrigued by a new feature in Glue or a new feature in Kinesis, just these variety of different features. And again, different tools that they add in that then enable you to do a wide variety of things you previously were not able to do. So
Sure.
I think they're just continuously advancing, and all of it is pretty much a response to demand from customers. A lot of times I'm part of that demand with, oh, I'd really love to see this. And then before I know it, I see that exact feature and I'm excited to just get hands to keyboard time and begin diving into that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, considering everything that we've just talked about with the AWS stack and this certification and exam in particular, is there anything else that you think that we haven't covered that might be useful for people that are looking to acquire or attain this level of certification that we should let them know?
So you mentioned the domains, which is all data focused, and that's important. There is also that foundational, and you mentioned the requirements of having at least a few years of AWS experience. There's still a decent amount that you just have to have foundational knowledge of VPCs, encryption, IAM security, EC2. It's not something that's would be outlined on any of the exam prep. You still need to know it because that's where most of these services are living or interacting in some way. So while you look at the big ticket items, I guess, out there that are listed for prep, don't forget about the basics because you need to know how all that works together.
Foundational. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Cool. Well, I mean, thanks a bunch for joining us, guys. If anybody has any questions that we didn't answer, make sure to just ping us on our contact page on the website, and we'll try to get you in contact with the right practitioner to get you a really solid answer. So thanks a bunch, Andrea and Chris, for doing this short live stream. I hope this conversation, helps others looking to pass this same certification, helps them a bunch. But just a reminder that all of our PMsquare YouTube channel is chock full of great content. So we have videos for lots of different topics, not just, certifications and such, in and around the analytics space, things like data engineering and enterprise planning and data science and RPA and, data presentation and more. So, that's an awesome resource for everybody who's watching this. We also have a really solid blog out there at pmsquare.com/blog, where you can find more useful content. So don't forget to subscribe and like so you can stay up to date with our ever-changing content. So thanks again, guys, for joining us today, and I will see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.